we're jumping over into WWEville. So Undertaker has been enjoying his retirement with his podcasts, promoting Blue Chew and coffee and stuff with Michelle McCool, his wife, and also being a judge on LFG. And he recently had an episode with Bubba Ray Dudley, who was also a fellow judge on LFG. And one of the core headlines that got pulled from that specific podcast episode was Undertaker kind of talking about back in the ring, and he was asked about, would he put the boots back on, the hat and the coat? And he says that he absolutely won't, and there's not enough left in the tank. Of course, Undertaker called it a career at WrestleMania 36, and he faced AJ Styles in a Boneyard match, and that was his swan song. Undertaker continued to make appearances on WWE, but if you guys notice, it was always as the American Badass Undertaker. And here's a pull quote from that podcast episode. He said, "When I retired half of my character. The hat, the coat, the whole side of the Undertaker, I retired. I kind of retained the American Badass part of it, the one that can relate to the people. That helps me. I will not jeopardize that part of my legacy. It frustrates a lot of people who want to do business with me because they want that. The hat and the coat are synonymous. When you hear Undertaker, that's what you envision. The fact that I'm at a point where I absolutely will not put it back on, that's how I protect that. I can't imagine, even in this day, with the way everything is put out there for everybody to see, I could not do it. There is absolutely no way that I could do it. Sell something or do an ad with the hat and coat? No, there's no way." Asked by Bubba Ray Dudley if there was a stupid number that could be thrown at him to put the hat and coat back on, Taker said, "No, I don't think so. The only way I could put the hat and coat back on is I would have to get back in the ring. I can't do that. I can't do that either because that also jeopardizes the legacy. As much as I have here," points to his mind and his heart, "I know there's not enough left in the tank to do that." And as I said, Undertaker's one of the 4 coaches on LFG. And LFG, for those who haven't been watching, they help the next generation of superstars at the Performance Center. It's a fun little reality show trying to create the next star. He's also apparently one of the driving forces of AAA, according to Triple H, which is fascinating. So I'm curious, and I guess I'll pass it over to Andres. What do you think? What is the significance of Undertaker making that distinction between the Undertaker with the hat and the coat and then the American Badass? Do you think these are two as do you think the two are as separate as he says it is, or do you think there's a strong connection between them for fans?
Um, I think they're two distinctly different. Because there was like a repackaged character, like 'cause when he started doing that, he had a completely different like look, music. He's wrestling in
Finish.
snakes pants, jeans. um, where he's not like the Deadman concept, but I mean, like, yeah, he's still the same person. But like, and it's funny when he would come out and he would switch between them for like that year or whatever. I definitely say they're two different concepts of characters, and I'm kind of surprised that he said that like he's done with the character. I mean, sure, it makes sense. The time has passed, and he doesn't feel like he can even get in the ring anymore. I remembered back to his Hall of Fame speech. He actually put it on, didn't he? Or he just put the hat on, and then before he left the ring, he was like, he's like, never say never. So I was kind of like, oh, maybe there will be, he'll be like that guy that like comes back for WrestleMania and does like those matches. So I was kind of like holding out that he would do another like the classic Undertaker at some point. But I guess not, going forward no more. But no, I would say between fans, it's just the distinction is different. They're two different. It's kind of hard to say like, two different because they are two different characters. But like I don't know, like we all know him as the Undertaker still.
Right.
Still
And they
carries
still
the
call
same.
him the Undertaker,
Yeah, they
even
still
when he
call him.
was American Badass. I mean, they called him Big Evil and all that kind of stuff, but they still called him the Undertaker. I don't think they said Mark Calloway when he showed up in a
No?
coat and
Oh,
a motorcycle.
yeah.
So for me personally, I think I understand what he means by that because there's that supernatural part, and then this American Badass just is basically him with like the Undertaker moveset. Um, so to that degree, sure, I guess it's two separate people, but I think most people would agree that it's still like Mark Calloway, still one and the same. It's Mark Calloway coming back for a match or a choke slam at WrestleMania 40 or showing up at NXT and messing with I don't know Ethan Page or somebody like that. Like he's made appearances since then, and like you said, to his point, he's done it as the American Badass Undertaker.
He's the in case of emergency ratings
yeah.
pop.
Yeah, exactly. In case of going up against an AEW show or something, bring them all out. Bring out Cena. Bring out Undertaker. Bring them out.
Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton. David, why do you think he feels so strongly about protecting the legacy of the head and the coat? What do you think of that specific character with like the original Undertaker? What do you think makes it so sacred that he won't even use it for an advertisement? And I think, an advertisement, I think that kind of speaks for itself. But what do you think?
I think it has a lot to do with like from watching the last ride, it's like he wasn't happy with his last couple matches. And I think it has a little bit to do with that. I think he also like retires it because I think that's like his like really old school true to the game type of thing to do. Because like he cared about that gimmick so much. Like he didn't do media in it. Like he never did. Like I mean, he did media, but like you wouldn't see Prime Undertaker in a commercial or anything like you would see The Rock or somebody else.
Ric Flair.
Right. And I think I just think it has a lot to do with that because it's like, if you throw it back to the 70s or 80s, it's like, why is the dead guy selling me a car?
Yeah, or mattress.
Yeah.
I feel like I always go back to the mattress example, but I just think it'd be funny to see Undertaker in a hat and coat.
Right.
Talking about the Tempur-Pedic number. What's your sleep number? So you can rest in peace.
Damn, I'd buy a Tempur-Pedic. If I saw that advertisement, I'd be like, man, sold, man. Sign me up. Give me that pay now for later, like everything else or whatever. Paying for or whatever. Paying for my burger. Yeah, Afterpay.
Yeah. So Chris, he said that he won't jeopardize that part of his legacy. What do you think would be the biggest risk to that legacy if he were to put the hat and coat back on? Do you think it's a physical risk, a creative risk, or do you think it's something else entirely?
I mean, if we're talking like wrestling and there's physical risk, it's like, do you go the way of Ric Flair? And like, I'm sure as far as the character itself, it's seen in a certain light to a lot of like fans, including himself, obviously, how he sees the character as this, he rode off into the sunset. It was like a perfect ending or whatever. So it just doesn't make sense to bring that version back. And then, it's a tarnishment of his legacy, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe the one example that he was also in as a match was that Crown Jewel tag team match between DX and the Brothers of Destruction.
Right.
And that was, Shawn Michaels technically coming out of retirement to do this match that the Saudis probably paid him a crap ton of money. And he was like, you know what? Yeah, I could put the boots back on.
I think, what?
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if the money is right, I bet you he would do something.
They're like, here's $1 billion.
Like, I mean, does he say, like, do you say no to that? I mean,
He's like, nah. Yeah,
nah,
he's like, where's my fucking coat and hat? Yeah, let's get that shit on. Where's my
He's like, give me a second. It's in the
Michelle,
car.
Give me your fucking eyeliner. I got this shit. Let's go.
$1 billion.
Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. Like he says, I don't think so, but I bet you if they dropped like a billion stacks in front of him, he'd be like, huh, interesting.
Yeah, sack of
Oh, I
money.
just
He'd be
found
like,
out.
Who am I facing? You want me to face Yokozuna? You got it. Let's do it. We'll make it happen. So, yes,
he'd do it.
I don't know, and I think he would do it.
A 10-second squash.
Yeah, exactly. Like $1 billion for like a 10-second appearance.
Easiest billion he
And-
ever made, baby. Jesus.
10-second appearance, 20-minute walk down the ramp, and that's like a 20-minute match. So, a technicality.
To your point, the Saudi Arabian match with DX, like I know all of those guys felt really bad. Like after it was over, like they all felt like that was
And they're all
really
like,
bad. Yeah, they were
why
like,
did I do that?
They had that post
They were not
clarity
ready.
after they got the bag and they finished the match. Like, what have I done?
They just felt dirty.
They're like handing him the
honestly,
sack
like,
of money.
Cash.
to that point, I think he kind of goes back to that. He's like, I don't want to keep doing stuff like that. That's just not good, you know. Like, I don't want to tarnish his character any further, you know.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, so I guess I said $1 billion, but do you think there's a stupid number of money that could change his mind?
Right there.
Is it like
$1
something
billion?
below $1 billion? I feel like there's got to be
You could do
something
half $1
realistic
billion.
below $1 billion.
What about even like a
Yeah,
quarter of $1
500
billion?
million.
Like $250 million. You don't think he'd do it? Like, come on now.
Right.
How much
I feel
did
like
Sean come
a
back
salary
for?
for him. Probably like wasn't he making like probably like 20 million, something like that a year? I feel like at that point. He must have been making a decent amount of money being in that company for like 30 years. And I'm also adding in like residuals from like merchandise and that kind of stuff, like not just his salary. So yeah, I think there's a number, but who knows? And I don't know if the Saudis or whoever would want to fork over that money. Maybe they all move past it and they just want to focus on the future. But hey, I mean Goldberg had a retirement match, but we just had Goldberg come back for one final retirement match.
Cut his speech off.
Now, what's that?
I forgot that even happened, to be honest.
Cut his speech off.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That kind of sucked because he was doing this whole speech and yeah, that wasn't great the way that ended. So the Boneyard match was his last, and given his comments, do you feel like that was the perfect ending to his in-ring career, or what do you think? What did that match do for his legacy, David, that a traditional match could not have done? What did you think of the Boneyard match?
I thought it was cool. I like it was a cinematic match. It was literally the world shut down.
Right.
I think I don't think it would have went that way if the world would have shut down.
Yeah. If there was a crowd, I doubt it. I don't think they'd go that route.
Yeah, and I'm guessing he's just happy it was AJ.
Right.
I thought it was good. Like it was entertaining. It was cool because like at the very end he hopped on a bike and rode off. So I was like, oh okay, see you, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it. Obviously, not. I watched it when it was like 2022 or 23, whatever it was. I was like trying to like review what I missed. Like big major matches, like
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, Cena, like because that was also kind of a
Funhouse.
cinematic match, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So-
that same Mania.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess they were just getting really creative with that one. But I think it was interesting. I think, of course, like in his heart of how he probably would have wanted like an actual match with like, 70,000 people watching him. But I think it's a cool way to go. And especially like looking at his actual like wrestling matches that he did like a little before that, like just even looking like about like Brock Lesnar, like WrestleMania 30, right? Like he was already pretty beat up like around then, like got concussed. He was basically going through the motions there. Yeah, I mean, like he was already basically beat up and more than halfway out the door. So I think hiding the shortcomings because of how he moves and his age and stuff, I think that a cinematic match like that made him look pretty damn good. So, his career and his current position is transition, and I think that's the thing that I like about like guys and girls who are of his stature. Like they don't completely go away from WWE. They still they transitioned into more of like a producer or like a mentor role, and I think that's important. And in the article, they mentioned that he's the driving force of WWE's developmental system and a coach on WWE LFG. Chris, what do you think? How important is it for wrestling legends to transition into roles like this after their in-ring careers are over? Is it helpful?
I mean, we talk shit here and there of like, oh, people, they're still here doing their shtick or whatever. But like in our heart of hearts, like we love to see them still there in some capacity. Like when they pop up on the screen or you read something about them being involved in the business, it's something that people still kind of look forward to. Yeah, clap and seal. Entertain me, because at the end of the day, that's why we're watching the product is to be entertained, and seeing somebody who's familiar is entertaining, and it's hitting a specific chord, I guess, when you see Undertaker in some capacity showing up on NXT or in some other capacity or whichever legend. So yeah, I mean it's good for them to kind of continue, also to just show newer fans who these characters are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to
I
see them
agree.
come back, but be in a different like spotlight. Like doing something different, being more real. I guess not so much as in character. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we do like seeing our legends come back. Maybe not so much promoting a beer, but actually helping the younger talent.
Yeah, I mean, they could promote a beer on the side, of course, but I think,
Mhm.
and like I do like they're the ones that you really enjoy. And I enjoy listening to the Undertaker's podcast. I do the same thing for Stephanie McMahon's podcast. I occasionally pop into the one with Bubba Ray Dudley because I like watching him have conversations with Mark Henry. Not so much Dave LaGreca, but at least hearing their insights. Uh, I think is fun. Like just watching their career, just like growing up with somebody and then just following them. And like I think that's just kind of part of like the journey and the transition to the later half of your career. Um, and I guess for the Undertaker transitioning to this kind of role, David, what do you think the Undertaker's biggest contribution is to the next generation of superstars? Do you feel like it's his in-ring knowledge, his understanding of like a character, like big picture, like what is a character, or something else? What do you think? What do you think it
I
is?
think I think it's just like the overall psychology, like even in outside the ring. Like he's seen wrestling go from like barnyard whatever in the back to like an actual business.
Right.
He's dealt with like literally all the horror story egomaniacs on the list of horror story egomaniacs. He had a great career without ever having to like stoop down to any of that stuff.
Right.
And I think that's like where he really comes in because like you always hear about him like talking to the big guys and telling them how to be big guys and things like that, or even like he was always somebody that Triple H went to even when they were still both like active in the locker room.
Right. Like
Like
even like yeah, when Triple H was up and coming, like they Undertaker was like a locker room leader then too,
yeah,
like Survivor Series, '97.
right, right. And it's
Chris,
just a bunch of
yeah, go
stuff
ahead.
like that. I think
Yeah,
he just is like a very important like quality of life piece
yeah,
where it's like, and then imagine being like a 22-year-old kid who's watched wrestling their entire life, and then it's like, oh shit, Undertaker told me to knock off my shenanigans.
right,
I think I should
exactly.
knock off my shenanigans.
I mean,
And yeah,
he's part of the
good.
fixtures in that company, you know what I mean? Like you'd never see Undertaker in like AEW or any other
Right,
promotion
exactly.
necessarily. Like he's like in the DNA of what that company is. So including
Mhm.
Shawn
Yeah,
Michaels.
like him, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, John Cena for sure. Um, Hogan? Well, no, not Hogan.
Nah,
Hogan hopped
he
around.
was the main guy that left that. He's like, I'm
Yeah,
WCW.
you're right. I'm buying in, baby. Um, but yeah, absolutely. Like those are the kind of guys that you think are like WWE lifers, and they've all also proven it to be the case. Chris, what do you think? The same question in terms of like his contribution. What do you think it is personally?
Contributions to the business.
Contribution to like the next generation of superstars. What do you think he brings to the table?
Just that kind of like that old man knowledge that, straighten up, stop acting a fool, like just kind of like snapping them back if they're crashing out, just kind of giving them that wise man talk. I think that's his contribution to younger wrestlers, a little bit more grit. And again, like he's done it all more or less, so he's definitely got a bunch of information that he can give advice.
Mhm. Yeah. Andres, same question. What do you think? What do you think he
Um,
contributes to next gen superstars?
an overall experience of the business and seeing the changes that it goes through and understanding the mental like ups and downs and the how to deal with the industry and what to go on, what not to expect. I mean, 30 years into WWE? That's quite a tenure to be teaching the young generation and stuff. And also to Chris's point, like because he was like saying like, oh, straighten out and stuff like that. Like wasn't Undertaker actually pretty like straight and narrow too? I never really heard like any crazy stories about him. Like when it came to like the afterlife outside of the shows, like I never really heard him being like a crazy partier or anything like that either.
He
Like
was a big drinker, but he was
it was,
also, I think, pretty grounded as like an individual. Like he wasn't like Ric Flair, flashing his junk at like a airline waitress or whatever. Like he would be drinking, he'd be partying with guys, but he
yeah,
wasn't. He'd be. I think that was the extent of like what he would be doing. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
He wasn't like Shawn Michaels trashing a hotel or Randy Orton doing that. You know what I mean? So he would do
Fighting some
that.
sailors.
Yeah. So he partied with the boys. I think Triple H, out of all of them, was probably the most like Boy Scout kind of person. Like I don't even know if he was drinking. He was like the so like student of the game for real for Triple H. But yeah, Undertaker. I think as a wrestler and as like a human being, I think his understanding of like character and and honestly, like it's kind of fascinating because we're now in a world where like his version of kayfabe and keeping that alive has, I guess I don't want to say it's gone away because we've talked about this before. I think it's evolved, and the curtain has definitely been shown more than like when he first started, when he debuted in like 1992. Um, but or 91 I think it was. But yeah, I think still like the concept of the character still is important, even if it is in this new generation of stars in 2025. I think his knowledge can be still very helpful for people. I mean, and also just like life experience, like being on the road, like offering advice for people like that, just like general, like common sense stuff that you would want to probably pick his brain for, like things you don't even think about, like traveling, producing, being there on time, in-ring psychology, that kind of stuff. Of course, he has like his, old man yell at clouds comment, like when he was talking about like, some of these people don't like sit in the back and like watch like every match or whatever, like they're doing TikToks or whatever in the back. Like for me personally, I think that's an old man yell at clouds kind of thing, because I feel like if they had social media in the 90s, they would all probably be doing that kind of stuff. And again, if social media was in the 90s, then our current version of wrestling would have started earlier, as in when they were wrestling. And again, this is all hypothetical, but I think he is, and I think he also kind of acknowledges that. He just says it's different. So he understands that. And, you're not going to change someone because that's just how he grew up and that's how he wrestled. So that's my only kind of sticking point there. But he's a huge fountain of knowledge, and I think he's one of the best who ever laced up a pair of boots. Honestly, speaking of.